Hey, what's up YouTube? It's the Brick Building Kids. Guys, today we are going to be doing some drywall on a new wall that we just built. So if you tuned into the channel before, we showed building this wall. So if you still need to build your wall, I'll include a link so you can check out how we built this. But we are going to be setting up some electrical outlets as well as putting up drywall, mudding the drywall, using drywall tape, and all that good stuff. So we'll go through step by step what we do to get this wall up. And appreciate you tuning in. Let's get started. Here we go. Alright, so first we're going to plan on where our cuts are going to be. So for this side of the wall, I'm going to have one outlet here for a lights, and I'm going to have two electrical outlets down here. Because this is going to be my new home office, so we're going to need to have some electrical outlets over here. Okay, now some of these cuts we're going to try to make easy on ourselves. So we know the drywall is 48 inches tall, so we're going to plan our light switch at 48 inches. So we only need to cut just a little bit. So we're going to plan it here, and we're going to measure out as well. Down here are electrical outlets. Okay, so here is our piece of drywall that we're going to cut. So I measured, and we have to cut this 15.5 inches short, so we're going to do that. But one note on our electrical outlets. So I kept them all here, the top of them, they're all going to top at 16 inches. So it's a common height for us to just, like when we go and measure it out, we'll know that those are 16. So here I've placed two marks on the board for where 15.5 inches are. So we're going to take, and there's really no need for me to mark this, but we'll do it anyways. So we're going to have a straight edge at 15.5. Okay. Now here, like I said, there's really no reason for us to do the line, but I'm gonna do that anyways, just to kind of keep myself on track. So we're gonna take a big cut through here, use our 2x4. Okay, we can go one more time. Okay, now I can take this same piece, put this over here. Okay, and it breaks. So it's gonna give us a semi-clean cut on the other side. Okay, we're gonna lift this up. Okay, so it gives us a nice straight line to make our cut off of. Okay, now I'm just going to take this, go top to bottom. Alright, now for me, when I'm going to use this side, I'm going to take the rough edge. I'm going to have the rough edge at my door. So here I'm going to have my rough edge, like I said, it's going to be at the door. Because we're going to use some tape on the inside, and the ends have a ever so slight indentation in them that'll allow us to put the tape in. I'll show you that shortly. So this is going to allow me to, at least for the top, I can cheat a little bit. I can get my marks here. So I know my cut's here. My cut is here. All right, now for this first cut, we know the boxes are 3 3/4 tall, so I'm going to have one mark down here for where our 3 3/4 is here. The same one, we're the same thing at 3 3/4. Okay, so what I like to do with these is typically use a jigsaw. You drill a hole here, you drill a hole here, and you take a jigsaw up and down. Well, for me, today, the jigsaw is not an option. Last time I used the jigsaw died and hasn't made it to be replaced yet. So we're going to go old school, and we're just going to take, and we are going to use the same straight edge that we cut this with. We are going to do the same thing here. We're going to take and cut it with a razor blade. Okay. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to try to line these up. So with my line and with our hole, we don't have to be perfect either which way with this, because you know we could mud this if it is a little too big. We could, at the end of the day, I mean, we can get a bigger plate for this, but this is going to be good enough for us. So. So I'm just going to actually clamp this. We're going to do a little work here. Clamp this piece. Okay. So clamp this in place. So it's not just my hands holding it together. So go one cut here. Okay, I'm just gonna go again. A little deeper. A little deeper. A little deeper. And these holes give it a nice place to stop at, so you're not just like going through. So let's go to the other side now. Same thing here. And like I said, jigsaw is so much nicer, but we just don't have that as an option today. So, all right, we got the cut here, and then we're gonna freehand this. We're not professionals, nor do we pretend to be. We are just low budget DIY YouTubers at this point. So I hope this helps. So we've cut pretty deep cuts here. It should come out pretty easily. Okay, so you can go a little deeper. Pretty sure we're good now. Yeah. Okay. All right, now I'll take this down. You can see this should line up very well. Here we go. We're a little deep, but we planned on it being a little deeper because we're going to raise this up. So, perfect. All right. So, for the next ones, what we're going to have to do is kind of measure out here where it is. And since we have access to the back, we can, again, kind of cheat a little bit. So I'm going to drill some holes from the other side, so I know where these are at, and then we can do the same thing with the drill a hole, cut, and cut from there. So, all right, so we cheated a little bit. On the other side, I'm able to actually still identify, where those holes are or where the frame is. So we just drilled little starter holes. So I'm gonna take these starter holes and just basically cut around and do the same thing that we did up top. All right, so as you can see here, it is fully flush, it goes through. Excellent. Okay, so I'm gonna cut the other one off camera, but it's basically the same drill. All right, so here we are. The first board is all cut. See up top, we are all set for our light switch. We're set for our 2 receptacles. Now, typically you'd want to run your electrical work before you put the drywall up, but I still have access to the other side, so I'm gonna run my electric work separately. It's not gonna be anything we include into this video, but I'm gonna run my electric work separately. But here I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna attach all of the drywall using our drywall screws. Now, like I said, we're gonna try to put a screw every foot. So every stud we're gonna have a screw. Every foot down we're going to have a screw as well. So I'm gonna go through here and attach this all to the wall. So I'm done with our first section of drywall. The other 2 are, the other 3. So we got one here, and we'll have just one going here. But these will be relatively easy. I won't have any cuts. So I'm gonna fast forward to us actually applying the tape here momentarily. So I'm gonna finish these sections and I'll get back with you. All right, guys. Now, since we have our wall done, we've got all our drywall. I've put the door in while we were waiting, but put the drywall, ran the wiring through. So really our next step is we've got 3 different phases of what we need to mud. So this center strip is gonna be basically like what I'm gonna focus on first. So I'm gonna put our line of tape through there. I'm gonna work on my corners, and while all that's drying, I'll put little bits of mud through over the screws I put through. So we're gonna start with this center seam. All right, so we're gonna start with this small area. So I'm gonna take and I'm gonna get enough mud out of my bucket, and we're gonna make a nice light seam through here. Okay, and we're just gonna try to make this real thin so we don't have to make a ton of excess for ourselves. But like my goal here is to get it on here enough so we can attach. So we can attach our tape, and then we're gonna cover the tape with a couple thin takes of this. Okay. Okay, now I've got my piece of tape. I'm gonna wet it. Okay. So I've got it nice and wet. I'll put it right in between the seam here. Okay, it's gonna go right on top of the mud we just put down. Okay, now I'm gonna take this and I'm just gonna try to attach it everywhere. I'm gonna have it nice and firmly pressed all the way through, because we don't want any bubbles behind it. We want it to adhere here to the wall. That's not what we want. Okay, and if you try to keep excess mud off of this area, it's gonna make it less for you to have to sand later. So what we're gonna do at this point is we're gonna let this dry, and then we're gonna put more mud on. And we're, like I said, you wanna try to make this seal nice and tight to the wall, because we don't want air bubbles trapped behind, because then that's gonna make more problems for us for later. Okay, all right, so where I'm at now, I'm gonna take and I'm gonna do this for the rest of the wall, and then after I have the rest of this part done, we're gonna do our corner. All right, so I put one more coat of a thin layer of mud over top of both of the seams. I'm gonna let it dry for a little bit, and after it dries, we're gonna take one more look, and then we'll put another coat of paint on, or I'm sorry, of spackle on if we need it as well. But we're gonna get to this corner here next. I don't believe I have any inside corner pieces handy, so we're probably gonna go old school and just put some tape in here. But there are special pieces that you can buy that are built for just inside and outside corners. So we'll see what we got, and I'll get back shortly. All right, so now we are going to fill that seam. We are going to lay a very thin layer of mud across the entire corner, and we're gonna put tape inside there. Now, like I said, you can get inside corner and outside corner pieces. With outside corners, I would say definitely it is necessary. With inside corners, it's not necessarily as important, because you're not running into corners on the inside. So like this is going to be my office. I'm just going to run, like I said, we use tape, and we'll be fine. So we're going to do the same thing now. We're going to take our tape, and we're going to get it nice and wet. And we're going to wring it out. All right, now we're gonna put it inside the in corner. All right, so now we have it attached to the wall, so when we're using our scraper to make it seal tighter to the underneath mud, we're gonna have to be a little more gentle so we don't actually rip the tape. So I'm gonna do this very gently. we've got a very good line through here. We want to be very careful as you're going through and just try to make sure that there's no air bubbles behind the tape, but this is set up very well. And I try to clean up as much excess as possible on the inside, that way it's kind of makes your sanding a little easier. But we're gonna let this dry, and then we're gonna probably do at least another 1 or 2 like we did here. This line looks very well. We do 1 more thin line here, but it might not actually be necessary because it does look really good. So we're gonna let this dry before we come back and put another coat on, but we're gonna work on cleaning up all of these drywall screws. Alright, so now, like I said, we're gonna do these little holes now. So this is very simple. We wanna cover these up, just give it a good swipe, put some good mud on there and give it a good swipe. Try to keep your area without a ton of mud, because ultimately the less mud you put on is the less you have to sand later, but you do want to cover those holes up. So we're going to give it a nice, that's good. And I'm actually going to use a bigger one. Alright, so now I'm going to do the rest of my walls the same exact way, and we're going to come back and I'll show you sanding all of this down. So like I said, I'm going to apply off camera another coat here, at least 1 more, and another coat here. But we'll come back, we'll work over sanding, and I'll show you that. Okay, so we are at the point where we're going to continue sanding this wall. So I took and I've done a little bit of sanding, a couple different sanding applications, but just want to kind of go through. You will want to make sure you get yourself some drywall hook and loop sanding sheets with a Gator drywall hook and loop sander. So this is basically just, it's a sander, it's like Velcro, and then we have a stick that has many different uses. But what we're going to do with all the mud that we've laid on here is we're going to use this. I wouldn't suggest any automatic sanders, because it's going to make your impressions on the mud just too deep, and it's not going to look natural when you go paint it. So really all you're going to do with these, you're going to gently go through and sand all your spots. And you're going to go all these small ones that we did to cover the screws. We're going to do those as well. And we're just going to gently go over them until we have a nice thin, nice even, and just very well faded lines. So, you know, the more time you spend taking care of this is going to be the better your paint job ends up in the end. So, like I said, take your time, be thorough, inspect your lines after you're done. After you clean, make sure that they're still good, and if they're not, just continue sanding. Now on the corners, you know, you may have to end up redoing this more than once. So when we go through here, if we sand too deep, we're going to end up seeing more of that tape, and if we see that tape, we're going to need to make a nice thin line again, because we don't want the tape exposed, or it's going to be another thing that you see after you paint. You're going to see that the paint just dries differently on paper when it's on your wall. So take your time, be thorough, and just make sure that your lines are well and faded before you proceed. And we will catch back up with you when we are done and we are painting. All right, guys, one more look. We are, again, sanded away. And we've got some dust left on the walls, but everything is well and faded. As you can see, we got lots of sanded debris here. So I'm going to move on to painting this wall and show you what we finished with. But this is us being done with sanding our wall. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So this is our finished wall. Our mudding and sanding, taking our time and being diligent did pay off. These, where our spackle is, there's very few visible spots that you can see any imperfections, but it's turned out very well. So I'm gonna move on to flooring. So if you guys want to check that out, I'll include a link to our next video of our new office renovation. And appreciate you guys tuning in to the Brick Building Kids. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.